Hello, everyone. Welcome to NewStreamingNetwork.com, home of GoingSoloMedia.com and GoingBoldMedia.com, and our wonderful radio station, WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network. You guys are here, and you're listening to the Spiritual Circle with Bella Maria. I am Cece Shatz. I'm the founder of New Streaming Network, and I'm just here trying to learn something new, just like you. So let's listen to Bella and see what we can happen on this particular show, which is going to be called When God Says Move.
Thank you so much, Cece. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How
Good. Okay. So I want to welcome everyone. And this episode is about divine movement and spiritual transitions. We're going to talk about signs and that God sent you before major changes, how to release what no longer serves you, and how to trust your intuition without fear. Last episode, we talked about fear, faith over fear, and, letting go of that fear and the whole concept of just always being fearful. And it's just not good. It's not healthy. And so this episode will include prayers and essential oils for strength and spiritual guidance. So I am so glad, and I want to welcome everyone to the Spiritual Circle Divine Download. I am, and as Cece said, I am Bella Maria, your host, and I'm trying to get Cece to be my co-host, but we'll see. So
we'll see. I love it though, and I love you, Bella. So
I love you too.
I'm so happy to have you back here with us. So yeah,
I love being here. It feels like home. I love being here. And so this is a sacred space for reflection and for healing and for spiritual clarity. We're here to talk about faith, intuition, signs from God, and the lessons hidden inside life's challenges. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed or confused or searching for answers, you're really in the right place. And so I want you to take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's receive today's divine download. We're going to say our prayer. I like to do the sign of the cross, so that's just me. But God, help us recognize your voice. Give us courage to move when you say move. Cover us in peace. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So when God says to move, sometimes God doesn't really shout, right? I mean, we talked about this. It's soft, it's nudging, it's, you kind of just get pushed like a mama bird will push its, little birdies out the nest. So he nudges, he repeats signs until comfort becomes uncomfortable. This sounds weird, huh? When comfort becomes uncomfortable, I think it's more about the idea of that you're in a spot where you're maybe stagnant and it just becomes like, what do I do next? This is weird. I'm not moving. I'm not doing anything. It's like almost like when you're losing weight and then all of a sudden you plateau. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about the whole idea of, doors closing, people falling away. You feel restless. God disrupts comfort to birth purpose. So when we talked about last time that, when people fall away or when doors close or when things just don't work out the way that maybe you thought it would, it's because there's a bigger picture. It's because there was actually you were meant to do something else. Mm-hmm. And so you opened a door that wasn't meant to be open, maybe not at that moment, at that time. And so what happens with that is, do we let go without feeling guilty of letting go? How do we do that? This is an example. We stay in a long relationship, a job, or habits, okay? And sometimes they're not really necessarily bad for us, because sometimes they're good for us. But you need to move forward and you need to do something, and you're afraid to. Maybe staying hurts you. This could be in a relationship. This could be in a job. And you still stay because you're comfortable. Well, you have to make it uncomfortable to move forward and to get out of that comfort zone so that you can be the better version of you, right? And so what do we do? And a lot of people come to me and they always like say, what do I do? I don't like how he treats me. I don't like how she treats me. I don't like the way my boss talks to me. How do I get out of it? It's a really good paying job, but I'm like stressed out. I'm pulling out my hair, blah, blah, blah. These are like really, really important things. And I just always say, you got to give it to God. And God's going to let you know what you need to do. But this is what I hear. This is what I see. It's not a foretelling. It's just an understanding of what could happen, what you need to know so that you can move uncomfortably into the next phase, into the next stage. Maybe it's a bad habit. Maybe you used to just drink, but your partner just doesn't know how to drink and drinks too much, and you drink and you have one or two, and maybe you might need to stop because you just don't like drinking anymore. And how does that transition? Then you're stopping something that you might not want to do, but you're doing it and sacrificing so that maybe that other person will realize that, oh, she's not drinking anymore. And maybe he will fall away. Maybe your friend, she will fall away, you know, because then you are elevating yourself. You're getting to a next level of betterness, of
that
healthy.
Makes sense. That makes sense. I was just thinking that a friend of mine, I was just talking to her the other day, and she was talking about smoking. She'd been smoking for a long time, and it got to the point where she started feeling really sick, you know, and where she couldn't even breathe herself, you know, and her whole family's been wanting her to quit smoking. Nobody in the house smoked for her. You know, they'd been praying and begging and everything. And so anyhow, because one time she just got so sick, she just decided, that's it. I'm going to stop. And she stopped cold turkey. That's it. She didn't, and she hasn't smoked for months now. And I think that is a pure example of when God moves, when God said move. He said, okay, we talked about I say he, but it could be she, but
it's okay.
But it's like, I'm going to keep, you know, for her, it's like, I'm going to keep getting sick if I don't stop smoking. So she stopped smoking and she feels so much better. So it's like those kind of things that we don't pay attention until something maybe drastic might happen, you know, to us. It makes us thing. And we talked about before the show started. And as I often say that, you know, God will open a door for me, but I think I got to climb through the window because I got to make it harder for myself, you know, but the opportunity is still there. And so
it's right there.
Yeah. So it's right there. So my question to you then, Bella, is, okay, if we feel like if we're going through something in our lives, a challenge, or we have some uncertainty, something that we're feeling in our lives, how do we kind of get that? I mean, I know there might be signs there that we're missing. We don't realize it, but how do we get that where we can have that connection so that we kind of can get that feeling of what our next step would be? Is it something like maybe being still, being quiet within yourself and really starting to, home in on maybe some of the messages or things like that you might be able to receive? How does one kind of get that?
Well, there's not one way of doing it, right? And there's a lot of ways that a lot of people hear God, right? Hear spirit. And so For me, sometimes it's like what we talked about, vivid dreams, things like that. While we're sleeping, because we're just not standing still and we're not doing anything. So it has to come into a dream. And you can tell the difference between the vivid dream and a dream. Like, it usually, for me, it comes in at a certain time, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, early morning. And I will get vivid dreams. And I will have that message come through sometimes that way for me. Sometimes it's going in and doing a exercise. I'm exercising and something will come through. A lot of times I get my messages while I'm washing dishes.
Mine's taking a shower.
It's that constant repetitive of washing a dish and being in your own thoughts, vacuuming. It's so weird. I will receive messages all the time, just in places like I'm vacuuming, but you're in your thoughts. You're only doing one job. And so for you, when you're doing this one job, your mind is able to kind of just say, okay, I'm hearing it now. Like, I'm hearing it because I'm only just focusing on one task. Yeah. We like to multitask. I think a lot of people in the society.
I'm washing my hair, and then all of a sudden I start thinking, I start getting like the downloads. I love your downloads. I'm getting the downloads, and it's like, oh wow, that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Okay, hurry up, get out of the shower.
Yeah, it's really cool. And some people do journaling. Sometimes people do that, but I think also I like opening up like books, spiritual books. So like for me, I'll open up the Bible, or I have these like cards. They look like this. And let me go grab one because I have them up right now. So there's these little cards, and they're verses. So this one's Psalm 31:24. Be strong and let your heart be courageous. All you who put your hope in the Lord. And so, it's kind of like it pushes you. Or you can read a story, like you open the book and then it resonates with you. I don't know if you've ever done that. And that's sometimes you can, receive messages and you're like, okay, I'm understanding that, And so, I think when you're doing it, it's just a matter of being present and just kind of making your mind a little bit more still. I think what it is when you're doing one task only is the key. And when you get that nudge, not a freak out nudge, message, it has to be a nudge where it's quiet and just kind of like thoughtful and patient, and you just hear it. And then you're like, okay, I think that's what I need to do. And sometimes then we freak out because we don't know how to do it. And sometimes people reach out to me for that, or you reach out to your, your own advisor, and you fine tune it, and you grow and you learn and you build and you be patient, because it doesn't just, sometimes it does, sometimes it just opens. But it took me like, I talked about my art stuff, and like I kept getting the message about doing artwork and starting about, doing my art. And it took me like almost 2.5 years to just even start it, really. So, it could go, if you accept it and you do it right away, it could be sooner. If you choose to kind of just sit on it because it's just not the right time for you, and you have all these little things, I think for me, it was a perfect time, because, we built relationships with people that are in the art, art world. And so my husband, built those relationships, and we've had a different connection. And so 2.5 years later, that's where I'm at. And I guess I didn't realize how capable I was. It's more about believing in yourself and believing that, when you hear those messages, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to kind of see it through.
I so agree with that, because I mean, just here on the station doing what I'm doing, I would have never in a million years ever thought I would be doing this. But then, the opportunity.
But you're so good at it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I'm just a normal person. But the opportunity came up, and I shunned it. Oh, crazy. And then it kept come up again. And I had a reading. I will tell you, I had a reading by Karen Rosenberg years ago when I was going through my divorce, and she told me I would be doing all of this stuff, and I thought she was crazy. I thought she was this woman's a quack. That's what I said. She's crazy. And everything the woman said has come true. But it's just like, it's so there again, I feel like, when God says move, God said to me, there's this opportunity, coming through, someone like yourself, a psychic, someone coming through, someone saying, this is going to be out there for you. And I just went, you gotta be kidding, didn't believe it in a heartbeat. And now here I am. And so, so I started realizing that and started thinking, well, if this is the path I'm supposed to be on, then let's walk, let's get walking, let's start making it happen. And so that's what I've done. And over the years, whenever I've thought I'm going to give this up because I'm not making money, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that,
something comes up.
Right. Something comes up, and it keeps me going. And the reality is, what I realize is that I'm not supposed to be making like big money. I'm not supposed to be like, the money is not the issue here. It's not my agenda, right? You have to make money to survive and to keep going. You have to do things. But the reality is the message and connecting the people that need to be heard, that need to be out there. And so that's truly what it is. So I just love what you're saying. I love the show today, because I really do feel like when God says move, he's opening these doors for you. He's doing these things for you. And we need to pay attention to the signs, and the door isn't going to shut just because you didn't see the sign, because you're supposed to walk down that path, whatever that path is. You're supposed to be on it. You're supposed to learn something. While we're here on earth, we're supposed to learn something. And, so anyhow, not to interrupt you, I'll let you go on, but I just wanted to.
You're not interrupting me
because I'm right with you, girl.
It's amazing. I love how Spirit and Holy Spirit kind of make things work, and I think that we have to just trust in him, and trusting in him and trusting what, he's given us. I mean, we've experienced so much. How do you dismiss that power, that energy that you feel? And if you haven't experienced it yet, I suggest, talking out loud to Spirit and saying, what do you want to show me? What do I need to do to be a better human, a better person, a better, son or daughter? And what can I do to live my life here on earth? But you're gonna have to say it. You can't just think it in your brain. You have to say it. And when you say it, you might get an immediate response. You might just start seeing things, play out, and it will open up your heart, and it will open up the doors that, you're meant to, step into. So I really, really suggest, if you are on this line of, is God real? Is Spirit real? Well, you're here and you're watching. And if you're watching and you're hearing it and you're doubting it, test it out. What could it hurt? Just speak to him and just say something. You don't have to say a formal prayer. Just talk and ask what you need to do for him. It might sound silly, and some people, that's the whole fear and the ego. I don't need to do that kind of crap, or I don't need to do all that. That's not something for me. God is meant for everyone, and he opens doors. He's the ultimate, creator of us. And so I think that that's just so important for people to understand that.
And what can it hurt?
I mean, it really can't.
It can't hurt you to just stop.
But people are so scared. People are so scared to open that door up because they don't know if they're even ready for that yet. And guess what? It's probably because they're afraid to let go of the habits. They're afraid to let go of the things that they need to do that makes them uncomfortable. They're comfortable. They're comfortable being abused. They're comfortable being abusive to themselves. They're comfortable with that because that's all they know. And so when you get yourself out of that comfort zone and make yourself uncomfortable and start actually asking the questions to God, you'll start getting answers. And, and that's where your life will change and become possibly the most beautiful thing you would ever experience.
Yeah, I so agree. My mom used to say, you're where you're at because that's where you choose to be. That's what she used to always say. And so if you don't like it, you've got to do something different, shake it up, and I have a real good girlfriend. That's what she used to always say, shake it up. So it's, I think we definitely have to do that. We're going to have to take a quick break. When we do, when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more. And I know you have a lot of other information for us, so I'm looking forward to that. So we'll be right back. You guys, you're listening to newstreamingnetwork.com. And this show is called Spiritual Circle with Bella Maria. And you're listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. We want to thank you all for listening to our radio station. You've been listening to us for years. We want to thank you for being a loyal listener. And we're going to be right back with a lot more information. So you just want to hang tight. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Spiritual Circle with Bella Maria. You're listening to newstreamingnetwork.com, home of Going Solo, Going Bold, and our radio station, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. So we are talking about when God says move, when God says move. And the first part of the show was really enlightening. I hope this is truly an awakening show for you. And we're having a great time here with Bella. So let's talk a little bit more, Bella.
Okay, so now that we talked about giving it to God and asking God and opening up, here are some essential oils for the transition. Peppermint. It opens up, invigorates, gives you courage. So that's something that you could use. You could put that in your shower. Like I said, there's these little steamers that you can either make yourself or you can buy. And peppermint could be one of them. It helps you with courage. Bergamot, we talked about last time, was confidence. So you could do peppermint and bergamot all at the same time and build up your confidence and give yourself some courage. So there's never really a bad mix, Sometimes there is, but not always. Rosemary. Rosemary is great for clarity. Clarity is great to, get an understanding of where you need to be. So while you're journaling or maybe, washing dishes like me, you can have rosemary going and it'll help you grow, help you learn, help you understand. Cedarwood, just like frankincense, you can use cedarwood for grounding. Okay. And grounding is great. It's a great tool to make you feel like you're a little bit more stable, established, able to just sit and just be still for a moment, to be able to hear. It's grounding. You know, you're connected, you're tethered back to the earth, you're grounded. You know, it's just really important to have that. You need to ground yourself however you do it, but cedar wood is one that you can use. So I'm going to talk about a personal story. So it's going to be kind of more of like a time where I obeyed God when it kind of didn't make sense at all. And so I have done things where, you know, like you've kind of, you hear something, you hear the message, and then you're like, is this like really what I'm supposed to be delivering? And even though it didn't make sense to me, I felt like, you know, I guess I have to say it. So this is how I actually knew that my gift was getting stronger. And this is right when I first started. I mean, I've always had this gift. I've had it since I was a tiny baby. I would see myths. I would go through the whole process, you know, and each time I just transitioned to a higher level. Okay. And so in this time, I was kind of trying to understand, you know, I'm like delivering a message to somebody and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And sometimes I withheld the information because I doubted myself. And so when I doubted myself, I didn't say it. And then I felt like I was like, you know, and I kept getting it. So the way that I know I need to deliver a message is if I hear it in threes. So if I heard it one time and I didn't acknowledge it, and then I hear it again, and then I didn't acknowledge it, and then I hear it again, because there's times where I think, okay, well, it's just a message in my mind. Like I'm making this up, you know, like I'm like, I thought about the person or, you know, whatever, but I wasn't even thinking about a person. I wasn't even thinking about it. And then that person is all of a sudden in my mind and I'm hearing a message, right? And now my thing is if I hear it 3 times, then I deliver the message, then I share it, because I know that for sure that God is trying to like tell me something. So that is kind of where I learned to obey God when it might not make sense. And I'm like, why am I getting this message? This is so weird. They're going to think I'm weird. Like, I'm not going to say that.
So when you said it to the person, it
made sense.
It made sense to them?
Yeah, always. It always does. Like there's times where, and I don't do, you know, on a personal level, there's things that like happen where I see I'm a medical empath. So I can see people like an x-ray. And so sometimes I'll see things. And I just kept getting a message that this person needed to take care of their heart. And I ignored it, saw him again, ignored it again. And literally, I'm like getting ready to leave. And this is the 3rd time. And I'm getting ready to leave. And like, I'm stopped at the doorway. Like, I can't move. And they're like, you do it now or you don't do it at all. And that, you know, like then I got really like, you better tell him. You have to tell him. And it's like, it's not, you know, in a horrible, like scary voice, you know, but it's like very stern. And it's like, you have to do this. And so I'm like, okay. And then I go over to the person and I'm like, this sounds weird. And I just wanted to, you know, and I needed to tell you. And I would explain what I saw. And they would be, and this one person was like, how did you even know? Like how I started getting, you know, signs of this back in September. And this was October when I got my first message. And then this was November, and then it went into December. And I started crying because I was like, I should have listened the first time, you know, and I doubted him. I doubted the message, and I could have maybe like saved him, you know, but maybe there's also times where there's like those people that kind of don't listen, or they don't hear unless it's really like they really see it to believe it, you know, like ghosts and things like that, you know. So, I mean, for me, it was really hard because I was like, I don't know. I mean, they're going to think I'm some weirdo, you know, that whole concept of what we talked about, you know, the first episode is like, you're kind of like this different person and you don't know how people are going to accept you. Yeah. So I think that, for me, obeying God, even when it didn't make sense, was just doing something that it has to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's a couple shows that I've had to do that I've done that I was very uncomfortable doing it, but I just kept feeling like I had to talk about it. I had to talk about this. I had to talk about this
Yeah.
particular subject. And so I did it. And then afterwards, I've had people contact me and say, well, that's the best show I've ever done. Da, da, da. Really, really resonated with them. And it's like, yeah. But for me at the beginning, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not, you know. But then I don't know, had a feeling I had to do this and things would come up and the topic would come up. And I thought, okay, I'll just do it.
Oh, that's it. I'm out. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. But anyhow, well, that's great. Yeah. I mean, like, that's why I developed the philosophy that if it resonates with you, that's great. Keep it. If it doesn't, throw it away, you know, do whatever you want to do with it, you know, so, and maybe it's just not the right, and timing, it's also timing.
Divine
Sometimes
timing.
we share things that maybe they don't understand why they need to hear it because, you know, something will happen later on that they'll think, oh yeah, I heard that, and that gives them comfort. So yeah.
I'm going to be doing some guests on the show, and I'm going to have Pastor Jason come on, and he's awesome. He's a great guy. He has a lot of knowledge, and he's fun. He's so funny. So I think that he'll have some stories and things and to share with you of, you know, why we would consider even going to God, you know, and it's not about religion. It's about having the faith in him to just give ourselves to him so that we can do what we need to do for ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. That's the only way that I could say it, is like, we kind of have to just give it to him and allow us to just sit silently and just wait until that time is right and everything align. And then life becomes so much more peaceful. You're not having to work so hard for it. You're not struggling. It's just gonna happen.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It'll
We're gonna
just
close
happen.
the show pretty soon. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to make sure that we cover. Okay.
Yep. I want us to talk about our declaration. Remember the declaration? So this is the declaration for this show. I trust God's direction. I move when he moves me. I release what no longer serves me. I trust God's direction. I move when he moves me, and I release what no longer serves me. That one's good.
Yeah, very good.
That one kind of gave me the chills a little.
Yeah. And, you know, everyone, I'll try to make sure we put these declarations in the show notes. So that way you guys have it. And then my suggestion, and I don't know, Bella, if you agree, that I jot them down. You know, get a journal book and jot them down, and each one, you know, and when you feel like you need to go back and read that, or, you know, feel that, you'll have that available to you. So that would be nice. So,
Everybody start getting your journals out and start writing your notes of things. And then please feel free to ask me questions. That's why I have Ask Bella Maria. So you can always reach out to me and ask questions. And if there's a time where you're going to be needing a session, that we'll talk about it, and we'll set something up for you. But it's askbellamaria@gmail.com, and you can go to askbellamaria.com for further information. I want to go ahead and just do a closing and just, close this up. And I feel like we need to just walk in prayer. Like, I feel like we just need to do a prayer. And I want to just thank everybody for joining me on the Spiritual Circle, Cece and myself. And remember, you are protected, you are guided, and your life has a divine purpose. So walk in this week with faith and dignity, and hold yourself up high, and trust what God is showing you. And until next time, this is Bella Maria, and I'm sending you love and light. Amen.
Amen. Wonderful. Wonderful closing. You guys, again, this is Spiritual Circle with Bella Maria. She is on Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Be sure you check all her shows. And again, the declarations will be in the show notes, so you want to make sure you jot those down. And you're listening to newstreamingnetwork.com, home of Going Solo, Going Bold, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I am Cece Shatz, fondly called the Doyenne of Relationship Building, and I'm the founder of the newstreamingnetwork.com. Bella, thank you so much for being here and doing this show. I'm just, I'm so enlightened as we're doing it. It's truly an awakening, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. So bye, everyone. See you next time. Bye.